Behind the Shades.
Very similar to you, I was at a point where I wanted to make enough money because I thought money equaled this. And then when I reached that money, I was like, okay, I don't have that objective. I can't unlock that secret passcode for those who are video gamers, right? I just couldn't make it. And then I said, what did I say? And probably you said this, let's make more money. So I started to make more and more money. And then I realized the more money I made, the less my passion was fulfilled. So I was going the other way because I was hitting a point in my life where I said, where life was telling me, terrain, this is not what you want to do. It keeps all of this going, but it's not going to continue to keep you going. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I think that's where we fall into a situation where, like you thought about suicide because some people would actually take that step and they're not here with us anymore. When you look back, were you surprised that it reached that point, or was it something that you thought you had to go through to achieve what you're achieving today?
It's interesting because that wasn't the first time I had had suicidal ideations. I'd actually already been to therapy multiple times, and I assumed the more quote unquote successful I got, the easier life would get. I assumed the more money I made, the more problems would go away. There's a song, more money, more problems. I don't know. They might have been onto something. I don't know. But no, I think for me, I assumed the money would make all that go away. And in fact, it somehow made it worse, not because money is bad. And this is an interesting conversation I like to have. You will hear people say that money can't buy happiness. I disagree. I think money can buy momentary bouts of happiness. Money cannot buy fulfillment. And here's the hard thing. When you look on somebody's social media page and you see them driving a Lamborghini, pulling up to a mansion, having a pool, whatever it is, those things can make you momentarily happy, right? Going into a pool after a long day probably feels really good. But there's a difference between happiness and fulfillment. Fulfillment, if you want to be fulfilled, you must grow and you must contribute. If you want to be happy, you don't necessarily have to. Happiness is a dopamine spike. Fulfillment is you doing something that you feel you should be doing, usually to the betterment of others. And I think when I started to understand that, it started to make sense. And then I had to rebuild my relationship with money because here I am thinking, well, I made the most money ever and I was the most miserable I'd ever been. Was that money's fault or was that the way I was operating with the money? So yeah, it's something that I think, I don't want to say it had to happen, but I'm grateful it happened now because it's in the rearview mirror. And I think it just allows me to understand at a deeper level what a lot of us are going through. I understand at a deep level. If you really, really loathe your job, I understand what it's like to not want to go back. I understand what it's like to potentially imagine that job taking your life. So I think that just helps me help more people at the end of the day.
One example I can give in regards to what you said is that, as we discussed earlier today, I went to Vegas and I came back. Money allowed me to go to Vegas, you know, and you get happy when you purchase that ticket and things of that nature. But once you're done packing, once you purchase a ticket, that dopamine hit is gone. Yeah. But what fulfilled me was seeing friends, seeing people, meeting people, and you can take that experience and stretch it along your entire life. And that's something that I want to express with people, and I'm glad you pointed it out, is that money isn't as bad as people says it is because it unlocks the door to many things. It can let you take your wife or your husband on a date. It can take your family on vacation. It can get you a nice car, a nice house. It's what you do with it. If you're going to, best example I can give is, it's like you're dating that girl that you don't know, that you know is not good for you. We've all been there, right? Mm-hmm. This toxic girl that's not there for you. When you see her, you feel great because she's good looking, she's sexy, she's all these other things, right? But you know you're not fulfilled with her. You have to find your fulfillment. Do you feel that you found yours, Kevin, doing what you're doing?
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. The simplest answer is yes. And a good representation is I would do this for free if I had to. I think that's a really good understanding. In the beginning, I did this for free. And it was like, I love this so much. This fills my cup so much that I want to find a way to make this work. So this is my example for this. I think many people have their P's in the wrong order. They find something that is profitable and then they try to convince themselves that they're passionate about it. Like, oh yeah, I really love this job. Why do you love it? Well, I make 6 figures a year and okay. Well, no, why do you really love it though? Is that all? Oh, okay. Interesting. Where there's a lot of people who, and this, I like analogies. I'm a visual person. A lot of people jump into a pool and they're saying, okay, I need to stay in this pool for the next 25 years so I can get to retirement. Or I need to stay in this pool because the longer I stay in this pool, the more money I'm ultimately going to make. And then eventually they say, okay, cool, I'm done. I can get out of the pool. When you find something you love, you figure out how to swim. And then you figure out how to build a house in that pool. And you figure out how to breathe underwater. And you figure out everything. You don't ever want to leave the pool. You want to figure out how to exist in the pool. I think that's what finding your purpose and living a life with fulfillment is. You find something that you're super passionate about, and then you find a way to make it profitable because you want to do it forever. And that becomes the mechanism for you to do it forever. So yes, I am the most fulfilled I have ever been. I am also the happiest I've ever been, but my life is also the most challenging it's ever been. And I think that's an important distinction because I think when we think of quote unquote success, we think of easy. And I might be the most successful I've ever been, but life is also the most challenging. It's good aligned challenges, but my life has definitely not gotten easier on the day to day. There are some things I don't have to do that I used to, sure, right? But I always like to put that out there because I don't ever want somebody to see it and say, oh, when I get to X level, everything gets easy. I don't think it's ever going to be easy, honestly.